Welcome to my build of a Piper Cub J3. I've now prepared all of the components, pieces that I need for both wings. I've got here the pieces for the left wing, which I'm about to start to glue together. I'm just going to do the main section first. I'm not going to do the wingtip or the central section. Just want to get this first bit glued up. I've put down a foam board and checked it's nice and flat. I put my plans on it with plastic, and that's all. Oops, that's all held nicely. I've pinned down this sub-trailing edge for the aileron bay to hold that in place, and I've put in place a couple of ribs just to check I know where everything's going, and this leading edge. I haven't pinned this leading edge down because the front of the ribs are actually slightly angled, so it just tilts over a little bit. So I'm just going to do that probably by eye, and I might just put a pin in after I've pinned it all. Just so everything holds nice and square, I've put a 6mm piece of balsa down here, which I've pinned to my board, which this leading edge rests on, and also just the front tip of the ribs. So once it's all glued, I may put just a little bit of gentle weight on here just to hold it right, but I know that it'll stay flat because of this board just holding that front up. So I've got the ribs to put in. I've got these spruce spars. There's a 6mm square top and bottom, which I'm going to glue in a minute. There's a 3mm top and bottom. The bottom one I'm not going to do. It's raised off the board, and I think it would probably be easier if I just do the top one, wait for it all to set, turn it over, and then put that one in. I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference. And then once this is all set, I've got strengthening pieces to go between the spars, and I've got the end of the wing to do, which I'll do that, like I say, when it's dried. So I'll get on and do this now, and it'd be nice to actually start building stuff with this model. Okay, well this wing is all dried nicely now, and I've put in the addition of the 6 spar webs. Now the next job is to put on the actual wing tip itself. I've got it laid out here, just dry mounted just to see how it will go, and I've also got this spar on the underside, but I shall do that last. Just in relation to this wing tip, I've noticed that the way I pinned it down yesterday for the gluing of the ribs was ideal, perfect. It held it lovely, with the flat sections of the ribs at the back nice and level, and this support here. But if I now glue the wingtip on, the wingtip isn't going to be central. This central section here, this piece of 3mm ply here, needs to run through the centre of the wing, and the way I've got it now, it'll be a little bit low on this side, and you can see it's a little bit high on that side. So what I need to do before I do anything here is just readjust the angle of the wing so that this central section the central wingtip actually runs through the centre line of the wing, or that will be causing us problems later on. I'm not totally convinced about these pieces here. I think I might recut them so that they're just slightly thicker on the wingtip, so there's more to sand and smooth round, so I just get a better shape. This one's probably okay, but this one I feel is just a little bit too thin, but I'll have a look at that. But I'm going to get on and reposition that now, and then glue that tip in place. I've just trimmed up the edges here of these spars, so that's nice and smooth, and also this leading edge, just trim that up. So I'll get on and do that now. Okay, well I've got the rough skeleton now of both wings completed, and the next job is to trim off the excess bits around the wingtips and sand them, shape them to profile. Also there's quite a big block here that needs planing down. Also got the leading edge and the trailing edge to do a little bit of shaping on, and then I'll need to join them together. There's a 3-degree dihedral on this wingspan, these wings, and I've worked out that from the point here just before the wingtip, I've worked out that that's a increase or a rise of 34 millimeters. So what I've actually done is I've made these just a little bit of balsa, which I can clamp into place like this with a little piece here to protect the rib. There we go, like that, and that gives me exactly 34 millimeters. And I've got another one here to go on at this end, and once I've got that, I know that my dihedral is right at 3 degrees. So I'm going to get on and sand these, plane them to shape, and then I'll get this all set up for joining the wings. Okay, well I've done as much of the sanding and the profiling as I can do. I can't do any more really until I've done the sheeting of the front and of this central section. So the next job is to join the wings together. I've given this a lot of thought as to exactly how I do it, so I get it right first time. I'm using the front of my workbench here as a guide for a straight edge to make sure that they're dead straight, which they should be. I've put rulers, 4 rulers, 2 on each wing. As long as they're just gently touching, that's fine. You can put pressure and bend the rulers a little bit, but you just need to be gentle with that. I've got these lifts at either end to give me a 34mm lift at either end, which will give me a 3-degree dihedral. I've worked out how the braces are going to go, and I've got the ribs that will go in here once these braces have gone on. So I think that is all right. I keep checking it and making sure, because once this is glued, that's going to be it. So it's all square, it's all level, so let's get on and do it, I guess. Let's glue it together and see what it looks like. Okay, well I've been getting on quite nicely with the wings now, moving at a pace, and they're really starting to take shape. As you can see, I've joined them together and I've sheeted the top half, front leading edge, and also the central section. I haven't got the underside sheeted, it just sheets along this front section here, front leading edge, and the central section here. I called a halt to that really until I finish the fuselage, because I just want to make sure there's bits that go in either side here to fill the gap between the fuselage And I just want to make sure I've got all the angles right and it fits. So I'm starting work on the fuselage now, and I will come back and just finish this central section and sheet it. I have actually cut some of the sheeting for that to go on, but I just not going to do that yet. I'm going to wait, and I haven't profiled the ends of the wings either yet. I didn't really want to be touching that until I'd got all the sheeting on and the full strength of the wing. And again, the ailerons, and there's some stuff on the back here, which again I need to know the dimensions of the fuselage, and I have found a few discrepancies in the plans, probably sizing issues from scanning and printing it out. So I can't trust the plans. I need to be checking backwards and forwards, as I'm sure you do with any kind of planned scratch build. One modification I have made, which I'll just show you very quickly, is on the ends of the wings. There's a couple of hardwood bars. I've actually used plywood, which come across to take the wing struts, the wing support struts that come down to the base of the fuselage. Now, on the original plans, these just are cut into the 2mm ribs. There's no support. Let me just turn this around a little bit. There's no strengthening or support. So what I've done is I've put in an extra rib here. I think this is 3mm balsa. So I've done a double rib to thicken that up. I've put in these braces here, and I've also put in extended that thicker rib there. I just think that, okay, when you're flying, it's just support. It might not take a lot of stress, but if you have a little bit of a dodgy landing and a little bit of a wingtip and you catch the wing, these would have just been ripped out, I think, on just these flimsy 2mm bits of ply. But now that's really solid. That's not going anywhere. It's added a little bit of weight, but it's quite a light build, and I don't really think it'll make that much difference. So I've altered that. On the other side, I'm still in the process of doing that. This isn't glued in. This is just set in like that. So that's. I'm going to get on and just finish this, and then I'm going to leave this until I've got the fuselage finished, or at an advanced stage, so I can check the fit.